We missing Shonda, and thank you.
I'm asking you, say.
Yeah.
I'm here to stuff. Yes, Chair.
No word on our two errant commissioners. Okay. I spoke to Shonda and she said she was going to be. But we have quorum. Oh, there she is. Yay. You have a name plate up there if you want.
Oh, thank you.
Just send her all fine. No, I'm at the public. Oh. Yep, okay. Call to order the meeting of the Palm Springs Public Arts Commission of September 20th, 2023. Jay, can you do roll call, please?
Yes, Mr. Chair, I'd like to introduce Ms. Lita Fields, who will be assisting, and she will do roll call.
Excellent.
Chair Armstrong,
Present.
Vice Chair Newkirk,
Here.
Shonda Pavo. Here. Christopher Ramirez. Melissa Shelton. Here. Tom Burns.
Present.
Carlos Silvera. One missing.
We have one, Mr. Chair.
Jay, are there any presentations?
No presentations.
Okay, then would someone like to make a motion for an acceptance of the agenda?
I will make a motion to accept this agenda.
Second? Second. Okay. Public comments. This time has been set aside for members of the public to address the public. Sorry. What? We did.
A vote, Mr. Chair.
Oh, sorry. Good. Sorry. A vote. Oh. I thought we did. Okay.
All in favor of accepting the agenda?
Aye. Okay. Now public comments. Okay. This time has been set aside for members of the public to address the Palm Springs Public Arts Commission on items of general interest within the subject matter jurisdiction of the commission and agenda items if the member of the public cannot be present later in the meeting at the time the item is heard by the commission. Additionally, members of the public may address the commission on each item listed on the posted agenda at the time each item is heard. Although the Public Arts Commission values your comments pursuant to the Brown Act, it generally cannot take action on items not listed on the public agenda. 3 minutes are assigned for each speaker. Are there any public comments?
Yes.
Would you please state your name?
My name is Philip K. Smith III. Okay, can I do I need to push this? I'm the artist for the Palm Springs Gates Memorial Sculpture. And I wanted to read a statement that's been prepared by myself and the task force. The Palm Springs AIDS Memorial the Palm Springs AIDS Memorial Sculpture Task Force has worked tirelessly over the last 8 years to ensure that the lives of those lost to AIDS and HIV are never forgotten and their memories celebrated. With approvals from the Palm Springs Arts Commission and City Council 2 years ago, we are honored to site the memorial sculpture in the downtown park across the street from the Palm Springs Art Museum. Through the generous support of hundreds of local supporters and support for the installation of the sculpture via the city's public art fund, the task force will be able to gift the iconic and monumental memorial sculpture to the city of Palm Springs. A project like the AIDS Memorial Sculpture must incorporate the many voices, memories, and emotions of so many people, both those that are living and those that are no longer with us. Part of the process of creating a project of this magnitude is to share the progress of the design with the public. This process is crucial to the long-term success and acceptance of the project by the community. It's during this public presentation period that the discussions that have occurred amongst the task force members are expanded to include thousands of voices, each with their own opinions, ideas, and thoughts. The recently publicized concerns, as well as the multitude of comments, both positive and constructive, from people over our last year of public events and fundraising, are in line with our own impressions and concerns. People have loved the memorial design, and others have been offended by it. To those offended by it, the task force and myself apologize. It was never our intent to disrespect anyone. Having worked on projects in the public realm over the last 20 years, I've learned that great design happens through listening, adapting, and realigning. Accordingly, for months now, we have been working on new iterations of the original design, making certain that appropriate shifts to the design are made that honor original intentions while directly addressing people's #1 concern. We view these new iterations as part of the design process and believe that we are continually moving forward towards a final memorial sculpture that ensures those lost to AIDS and HIV are forever respected and never forgotten. While we are diligently working through the design revision process, we know that it will be impossible to create a memorial sculpture that 100% of the community will like. That is the reality of an artwork in the public realm. Please know that your voice has been heard, that we have already been working on new iterations of the memorial sculpture, and we look forward to sharing the next iteration with the community later this year. We hope the process moves forward with the spirit of constructive conversation, understanding, and respect for all involved. Thank you.
Does anyone else in the audience have public comment? Please state your name and you'll have 3 minutes.
Hi, Commission. My name is Christopher
So if
Johns.
you would please push the button.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Hi, Commission. My name is Christopher Johns. I am an interdisciplinary artist living and working here in Palm Springs, California. I am also the co-founder of a contemporary center for the arts that you may or may not have heard of, and that's why I'm here to introduce the Elemental. The Elemental is located off of Vela Road, right here by the airport. The Elemental is a partnership with Fondation Laclade, which is from Paris, France, which is under the umbrella of Institute of France. This is a collaboration with my nonprofit, Epicenter Projects, which I started in 2014. And essentially our mission is to bridge art, science, and environment together, and also serve as a bridge of international artists coming into Palm Springs, vice versa, artists from Southern California going into Europe, Paris, etc. We have an opening reception coming up November 17th, which is dedicated to palm tree. But it's a different take, and I hope you can come by. I can give more information, postcards, flyers, whatever it is, coming up soon. So that's coming up November 17th. And on top of that, I wanted to see the potential of some type of collaboration or support from the commission in relationship to the public programming that the Elemental has already provided. And well, not to pay for the past, but to look into the future and see if there's ways in which we can expand our public programming in ways that would sustain us on some levels of just having additional hours open that are guaranteed for the public to see our exhibitions, speaking with some faculty at the Palm Springs Unified School District as well, collaborating with some of the students in the area, and having a mentorship program. So really just wondering what that would look like as far as bringing that into an agenda. I can leave my information if anyone wants to reach out to me.
Thank you. You can just leave it with Jay and then he'll circulate it. Thank you.
Anyone else in the audience have public comment? Just briefly.
Richard Noble, second. This is a different table. Hi, Gary. I don't know who was here to chair, who the public commissioner was before, but it's been a little while. I just want you to know that we're still interested. I don't know much about the Pillars project, so I'm here to educate myself on Karen and Tony Baroni's sculpture of 5 large life figures with a dog and a rainbow flag that we had talked, that I kind of brought to your attention before. So I'm just sort of going to educate myself and listen, and hopefully we can move forward on some level. It's a big project, and I'd like to get on the agenda maybe for the next, because I have a presentation to give you. So I'm just here to say hi and that we're still interested in moving forward.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Anyone else in the audience or participating through Zoom have public comments? That's it for public comments,
Okay.
Mr. Chair.
We are in a challenging time in our society. There is this sort of cultural divide politically and culturally and economically and structurally. We're in this really weird time in the world right now. And yet the commonality that I see things that can come together is art. Art can bring people together in many, many ways. The challenge that we face as a commission is the big, important pieces of artwork take time. So right now, they mentioned the AIDS Memorial, which had to have started in early 2021 to get the design done. It was presented to the Arts Commission in June of 2021. It was approved by council in September of 2021. They then did the fundraising, and they're near the fundraising, and then the community saw it. And the community had a responsive reaction to it. And I respect both sides. I'm not saying that the artist had any ill intent, and I respect and embrace everything that the community is saying. The challenge for us as a commission is we have to stay sort of balanced and respect both sides. The AIDS Memorial became this firestorm on social media, and I didn't really hear about it until another commissioner pointed it out to me. And yet I would like to remind the commissioners that we are supposed to be jury. We're supposed to be balanced in our decision-making, and we should not comment things like that in a public manner. We have some other projects coming up that are long-time projects that are challenging as well. One of them is on the agenda for tonight that we have to discuss. So this is just a way to say that, you know, this is not just, let's pick a color and approve a design. these are really projects that are also affecting people's lives and that people feel represent them. And that's the benefit and the beauty and the challenge of being a public arts commissioner. It's more than just picking a design, picking a color. We are helping and reflecting the citizenry of Palm Springs. So I just ask everybody to be more considerate and responsive, and all of your comments on these big issues should be kept within this room. So, okay. Eric.
Thank you. Yes, I also just wanted to comment quickly on the Palm Springs AIDS Memorial. I so appreciated Mr. Smith and members of the task force being here tonight to update us on their plans going forward. I think that's great that they're open to feedback, and that's certainly appropriate. Of course, you hope with these type of projects that the end result is something that the whole community can really get behind and appreciate. And I have no doubt that the task force from the very beginning had the best of intentions and did elicit wide-ranging feedback on the piece. I just want to acknowledge, the years of work that they've already put into this project and the work that they're going to be doing going forward. The Public Arts Commission supported the project by setting aside $65,000 for the memorial's installation in the downtown park, and I hope to see more discussions about the memorial and its eventual unveiling in the park before too long. So thank you.
Next item, approval of minutes. This is the approval of minutes for meetings of April 20th, 2022, May 18th, 2022, June 15th, 2022, July 20th, 2022, September 7th, 2022, September 21st, 2022, September 28th, 2022, October 19th, 2022, and November 16th, 2022.
Mr. Chair, thank you. If I could just read a few more corrections for these minutes. For September 21, 2022, October 19, 2022, and November 16, 2022, the call to order date will be corrected to show that it's 2022, not 2023. For July 20th, 2022, the spelling for Cindy Karen's name will be corrected. And for May 18th, 2022, under report from Director Michael Braun's name will be corrected to be Braun and not Brown.
Jay, should we approve these individually or all at once?
All at once.
Okay. Would someone like to make a motion to approve the minutes mentioned with the revisions named by Jay?
All right. I'll make a motion that we approve the minutes for various meetings with the amendments as stated by Jay.
Any second? I'll second. All in favor?
Can we vote if we haven't even said anything?
Jay
Yes.
sent a comment around that you can vote even if you were not part of the meetings based on trust in the system and trust in reporting and trust of the people who were present who have approved the minutes.
Okay.
It's industry standard, frankly, because people churn in and out of the commission.
If I may, I just want to hop in real quick, just for future, is there any reason why we're approving so many past minutes today versus in previous minutes where, might be last meeting and approvals?
Yes, we actually lack a staff person for Public Arts Commission. So we have not been producing the minutes, and the meetings have been recorded. However, producing the minutes, now we have the assistance of Anita here, and she's really cranking them out. So we're intent on catching up.
Perfect. All right, thank you for that.
There's nothing malicious. It's just a manpower issue.
Yeah, wasn't for any
Okay.
issues.
Did anyone have any objections at all or any questions?
I did until I just heard that. As long as it's all been recorded and it's just translated, then
Yeah.
that's fine. I mean, I just felt uncomfortable.
Understood.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
this is fine.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Thank you, Anita. Welcome, Anita. Yes. Next up, we have a public hearing. This is considered resolution 23-001, a resolution of Public Arts Commission of the City of Palm Springs, California, approving a mural application for quote, whimsical mid-century Palm Springs from Canyon Fund LLC by Flat Black Supply located on the east parking lot facing elevation of the perimeter wall at 310 to 320 North Palm Canyon Drive, case 23-001 MUR. And Jay, do you have anything to show us?
Yes, I do. Let me get this up on the screen first. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Here. What you see on the screen is a proposal for a mural located at 320 North Palm Canyon Drive. It's at the rear of the building facing the parking lot, which is facing east. It's entitled Whimsical Mid-Century Palm Springs and will be about 20 feet tall, 60 feet wide, total of 1,200 square feet. The application for the mural was submitted to the planning department on July 14th. Notices were sent to property owners within 500 square foot radius from the mural site. The property owner is responsible for maintaining the mural in a first class appearance and protecting it against defacement and alterations. And if approved, will be provided to the city council for final approval after the Public Arts Commission does approve, if approved. The applicant is here tonight to answer any questions. And Mr. Chair, if we could go on and open the public hearing and then take public testimony on this, and then close the public hearing and have a vote by the commission, discussion and vote.
And does the commission ask questions during the public hearing or after the public hearing?
You can ask questions right now.
Okay, great. Who is the applicant? Hi. My first question is, do you have the approval from all the people listed on this mural to list them? So if I'm Cheeky's, do I know I'm on there?
Is it okay?
Yes, please go on, state your name.
Sure.
Okay.
My name is Joseph Jonathan. Good evening, Honorable Chair, Commissioners, and applicants. Wanted to thank you, first of all, for your consideration, as well as staff's help in putting this together for review. No, as the simple answer to your question is no, it's not intended as any marketing technique for businesses, for locations, for anything else. I think, as we all know, nothing is permanent either in our society and in our economy. I don't know over the life of this mural whether these businesses will continue to exist or continue to exist in the locations that they've been identified. But it's intended to just be, something to memorialize a lot of what we find special and wonderful about our community. But no, there hasn't been an outreach to owners of businesses or anything like that to entertain their approval.
Jay, is there any legal issue putting somebody's name in a private mural if they're not? Can you look into that?
Yes.
Okay.
Look into it.
Yeah, just, that would be my hesitation if somebody says, I don't want to be on there. And, for example, I know Rooster and Pig is talking about moving already, but that's beside the point. And if this moves forward, I would suggest you date it somehow. So as of September 2023, just so it ends up being an artifact. Did you create this artwork?
So not personally, I am a real estate guy. I am not at all artistic. So apologies for being in front of all of you and being extremely naive to any of this also, but no, it's an international artist that was commissioned for this work.
Okay, so you have rights to this artwork?
Correct.
Okay, great.
Yes.
My other comment would be make sure that everything is spelled correctly. I think Ramon Road is spelled incorrectly on there. But my main concern is just rights to the names. And I don't think you need to go out and solicit, hey, do you want to be part of our mural? I would, if I were the tribe or if I were Cheekies, I would just want to know you're using my name. And it's easy enough to get rid of them and put somebody else in there, honestly. Okay. Are there any other questions?
Yeah, I have a question for the mural. Is there a possibility of putting historical sites that are present in Palm Springs on this map?
Yes, definitely. I think it's incumbent to try and recognize Palm Springs history and all of that. In the application, I thought was just a current kind of zeitgeist of things that in our current consciousness and everything else. But by all means, I'm a lifelong resident of the Coachella Valley. I was born and raised out here, so we want to try and incorporate all those things as we can that be important to our community.
Okay. I think it's fun, but okay.
Another image that we had in the application it was a larger piece. And so because of the size of the mural, part of it is being cut off. And so we're missing like the whole south side of the city. I would really love it if it showed, the whole geographic area of the city. You might also want to like reposition the tram further north, just so it's a little bit more accurate. And similar to Commissioner Bevo's comments, other locations that aren't along the 111 corridor, like maybe City Hall and city parks, and historical sites is a good suggestion. So I would just maybe like to see more variety in the landmarks that you're highlighting.
Definitely. I mean, this is representative of what would be the final product, but it is not a permanence of the final product that would be installed.
Are there any other comments?
I was just gonna say, I am familiar with that building. I do think it would bring a lot of great attention on that, kind of the Indian Canyon side, which is great. There's a lot of empty wall space, so any more color I think that we can add. But, yeah, I think my comments do align with the rest of the board here is just maybe a little bit of tweaks, I guess, maybe to have a little more accuracy and little spelling errors like that. Yeah, we'll go on.
My last comment is, and we deal with a lot of murals and fading. This will be facing east, I believe. So you'll get that heavy morning sun directly on it, and that peach background will fade very quickly, so you won't be able to read Palm Springs against that white. So you may want to consider your palette and maybe do Palm Springs in a stronger color, just so that, because I understand the point is to show how great Palm Springs is. We want people to read that from the street, right? This is back onto a parking lot, and then there's Indian Canyon, right? So you want it so it can be read from the street as people are driving by too.
Yeah, I've spoken with Flat Black, who's done murals throughout Palm Springs and the Coachella Valley. So they're familiar with that and the sealant of the paint that they'll use to make sure that it has a lasting purpose to it. The other thing I want to highlight too is this is intended to just bring art into the city. The reality is this is on the backside of the building that faces the parking lot. There's no like true visibility into this mural other than people that are walking on Amato, maybe going to Village Fest or otherwise. So it's a completely unused portion that just faces the Palm Springs Life building in the building's parking lot. But my thought is to continue to enhance and be vibrant for our community. And we've already done a lot of things for the building, but let me try and just add a little bit of beauty in the spaces that
and we appreciate that. Jay, when you look into if the names have to get approval, perhaps it's as simple as just indemnifying the city if there are any people who complain as part of the agreement, that you'll take responsibility for removing them and putting another one in there, so the city's not responsible for that. So you're not having to chase after 15 people getting their permission.
Yeah, I'm totally open to that.
Okay.
Why don't we go on and open the public hearing, Mr. Chair, see if there's any public
Excellent.
comments or public testimony on this item.
Thank you.
Say,
Oh, sorry. We've never done a public hearing, Jay. Okay, are there any comments from the public on this public hearing on this mural? There's a
and the chair
gentleman,
hereby opens the public meeting.
and I hereby open the public hearing. Sorry, Jay.
Public hearing.
I just press the button there.
Yes, please state your name.
Hi, my name is Brett Stevens. I'm a local artist here. I was born here. Not something too crazy. I'm just curious. So there's a lot of business names on there.
Yeah.
And I'm just thinking out of fairness, why are certain ones on there? And then maybe like what happens if one of these people go, well, why is my bar not on there? Or why is that on there, but I'm not on there? And I'm just wondering if that's gonna create issues with the other business owners in the area. That's my only comment, but I like the idea. Just curious if that maybe needs to be thought about. I don't know. So,
Am I allowed to answer him? Okay, I agree, which is my concern about, are these people who are being left out? It might be nice to promote some local businesses that maybe need the attention. And the best thing that could happen is this will be appearing and some artist or some business will say, I want to be included, and they're added to the map.
Cool.
So again, maybe there's something we can put in there. Obviously, we don't want to do anything that's a negative aspect. And the building owner may not want to put things on there that are antithetical to their business model.
Yeah.
So we need to be, maybe they don't want anything with the vaping or something like that. I
yeah,
don't know.
exactly.
Yeah. Okay.
Thank you.
Any other public comments from those participating on Zoom? No other public testimony, Mr. Chair, we can close the public hearing.
Did we vote on this now, Jay?
Now that you've closed the public hearing, you can have additional discussion and vote.
Okay. Commissioner Fabo?
Thank you. Just to reiterate what, one of our residents was saying, maybe it might be useful to do a ledger of some type on this. So we don't have, expenses running up with having to pay an artist each time to change the name or something along those lines. These are a couple of pitfalls that we have to look, ahead for, and having a ledger with numbers or something, and the businesses can be added or depleted, or it may be easier to update the mural, something like that. It looks like a postcard. I think it's really wonderful and nice, but I don't know, there's so much to offer here in Palm Springs. I feel like there's more representation, something more, in my opinion. Thank you.
I think we should keep this in perspective, which is, it's artwork on a building, and I went online and I was looking at where it's being placed, and it's almost an alleyway. People aren't gonna go to this and look at it as a map for directions. I don't see that happening. As long as the airplane is in relatively, that's the only thing people are gonna care about is the airport and how to get there. I think, it's private mural, and from what I understand, what Jay said, they're responsible for maintaining it, and to me, I think it just should be a vote of approval or unapproval or disapproval. But I don't think that we should have a say in what is going on this mural at all. I mean, that'll be the business owner's issue. And it may turn out to be a great thing for them, saying, well, maybe I can make money off it if somebody says I want to be on this mural kind of thing. Who knows? But right now, it's such a non-visual place that I think it's really enhancing what it is. I just say, let's let the artists do their thing, and we let it go. But I do agree, historical things would make sense because those don't change.
Yeah.
So.
And then I also have a question just about voting. I'm
Yep.
super new to the commission, so are we voting on the actual art itself or the location and placement of the mural, or what are we actually voting on? If there are things that are then going to be changed, do we need to come back and revisit that vote, and what does that look like?
We're voting, we can give an approval, a conditional approval. And it's on the project overall, so it's the mural on this location.
Okay.
Does that answer your question?
And not specifically the art itself, just the location of a mural.
And the art, if we think the art does not represent Palm Springs, we can say, no, that does not represent what we think is good. Now, to the other point, we also don't want to become creative directors and say, move the plane up here and do that. That's their decision. That's the artist they chose. My point about saying that the building names or the restaurant names are legal issues. It's, I don't think we should be telling them which ones to put in there and which ones not. I think Commissioner Favo's suggestion of maybe some historical things improves the mural without becoming a creative director.
That makes sense. Thank you.
Yeah, I would just, again, encourage the artist and the property owner to consider our feedback and go with the spirit of, encouraging the concept of the project and being supportive of having this fun, beautiful mural on that vacant wall. But yeah, I hope that some of our feedback is taken into consideration and applied to it.
My last comment is I personally love these sort of retro old-fashioned maps in a way, and I think they become this transport you back to a moment in time. So even if half these restaurants go out of business, and chances are they will within 2 to 3 years, or some other places will pop up. If it's dated, this was done on June 20th, 2023, that becomes part of the artifact as well. That makes it that specific moment in time rather than trying to represent something in February 2024. So that would be a sort of a creative stop hold that I would be satisfied with. Okay. Are there any other comments? Okay. Now we vote, Jay?
That's correct.
And to clarify, will we, if we conditionally vote on this and approve it, will we see revisions before it goes to council? Or will it just go to council with our requested revisions attached?
That's up to you, commissioners. It can go to council either way with your requested revisions, or you could ask for it to come back to you at council. The council will see it with the revisions. That would be the intention. So however you prefer, the latter, let's say time, but if you feel more comfortable seeing, having it come back, that is your prerogative.
I would personally prefer to see some of the revisions made, the ones like the spelling errors, and a stronger background color, because I think those are the things that council could get hung up on. And clarification on the legal issues or indemnification of the names should be considered as well.
Shall we plan to have this at the next Public Arts Commission meeting then and not move forward to the city council just yet?
Does anybody disagree, or am I the only one who feels this way? We should see a revision.
I'd like to see a revision also. I support you on that.
I think it's important.
I think that's probably for best, and I promise we'll be fast next time. Yeah.
So I think the vote would be to bring the item back at the next
Yes.
Public Arts Commission meeting. Okay. And I don't know if you want to have a motion and vote.
So I'll make a motion to provisionally accept this mural, given a little bit of revisions that we can see on the next agenda.
Second. All in favor? Aye. Great. Thank you. This is good. We like it. We just need to improve it.
Thank you.
Next, items for discussion and approval. Discuss and approve additional funding for the amount of $20,000 for steel plates and additional installation costs for the pop art projects, which are pinwheel, popsicles, and lawn chair. Let me give you a bit of background on this because this happened when only 2 of you were on the commission. We have approval from the city to do public art in Lot G, which is downtown by the parking garage. It is open area right now. There's just DG and a couple of rocks, and it's on the close to where the Maryland statue is. Okay. And so we got approval to do public art in there. We voted to put popsicles there, lawn chair there, and pinwheel. And they are all 3 sort of oversized pieces in a pop art feel. What we were not aware of was that popsicles was installed by the posts being 36 inches below ground. And with the other 2 pieces, we had in the approval that they would be on cement pads. Well, the cement pads are incredibly heavy, and popsicles then needed to be put on a cement pad, which would be way too heavy because the lot is over the parking garage. And so there's not really landscaping potential there. There's 4 inches of DG there. So even doing cement on that is problematic. So what Jay and I had a meeting with the city building department, and what he said we could do, and it would work, is to do steel plates. And so we get the steel plates that they do when they're doing road work, and then sort of weld in supports, so popsicles could go in that, and the other pieces could be welded on that, and you put DG over it, because they're a lot lighter, and they can do that. The benefit is we also then can move those if we decide to move the sculpture someplace else. And so the artists are okay with that. The popsicle artist is okay with these, that I can make that work. And the city's okay with it, but the money that came back is, it's about an additional $20,000 for those steel plates to be put in there. So.
Can you speak to how much we've already gifted or paid for this, and then what budget looks like for this year?
The pieces, popsicles, we spent around $15,000 for in total. Pinwheel was a donation that was valued at $20,000, but it was donated by former Chair Ann Sheffer, who was online, but she's no longer online. And then lawn chair was a piece that was on display in front of the Skylark Hotel. And it's been moved because they're doing a renovation, and they said they didn't want it there anymore. Regardless where we put it, it still needs to be attached to something.
Right.
So in terms of budget, we have money for this in the budget. We have more money in the budget beyond this, so don't worry about money.
Thanks.
This is again, one of those formality issues where we say we have to get this money before we can move forward with the installation and that.
Thank you.
Okay.
I'm just unfamiliar with the art itself, but are these pieces that people will sit on, like, or are these more touristy things where people will be taking pictures by, or?
So popsicles was on display on Sunny Dunes Road across from County Bagel in an empty lot there. It was the most Instagrammed piece of public art in Palm Springs. People love it. It's just sort of big and bright and over the top, and it's pop art, you know, which is big and bright, bigger versions of life stuff. Lawn chair is a piece that looks like a lawn chair, but it's covered with AstroTurf. So it's a lawn chair. And it's been part of the public art collection for about 15 years. It's just sort of moved around. So we're trying to create a base for it now. And pinwheel, again, is, it was in a private collection and it was just donated. So it's never really been photographed yet. But I do think that the intent of putting these here is twofold. One, Marilyn, what are your feelings on Marilyn? She's very popular. And this is artwork that we think will appeal to the people that are downtown to get their picture in front of Marilyn. It's big and bright and it is engaging. We don't anticipate them hopping on the lawn chair, but if they do, it's okay. It can support them. popsicles they will just stand in front of and get the picture. The other thing that we've done with this is we're trying to reorient the artwork, so when you take your photo, it looks really great behind it.
Right.
So it will be positioned so the mountains and palm trees are behind us, so we're creating a vista for Palm Springs. Or for one of our most popular pieces, it will look good there. Okay. Are there any other questions on this? Okay. Someone like to make a motion for approve?
I'll make a motion that we approve $20,000 in additional funding for steel plates and additional installation costs for pop art park projects.
Second,
I'll second.
thank you, Melissa. All in favor?
Aye.
Great. And again, just so you know, with this number, we also budgeted in for identification signs. We want to start putting that money in now, so that's all in there as well.
And what's the timing of the installation?
Once it gets through council, it should be about a month after that.
Okay.
So,
This year?
oh yeah,
Okay.
yeah, it was supposed to happen in August until we discovered we couldn't
Right.
go down. Okay, next item is discuss inventory of art. As I mentioned earlier, we have, I think, 3 or 4 inventories of our artwork now. 4, is it there?
Maybe 3, but
3,
yeah.
okay, yeah, we have a lot, and none of the inventories have been updated since 2016. And each inventory has some items on one and not others on the other. So we're trying to create one overall piece. One of the things that, and Barrett has volunteered to spearhead this, I'll let him talk in a second. But 2 of the things that I want to address on this, that I would like to add to whoever is doing the inventory, is I would like to introduce an element of installation. So up till now, it's just basically been, oh, we have this piece and here's where it is. I think we need to add 2 things. One is, how is it installed into the ground? Because some of the pieces do need to be resited due to environmental issues, where the irrigation is ruining them, or they need to be moved. And so we don't get into another scenario like popsicles, where who knew the poles were 36 inches below ground. We sort of know, okay, this is how this is installed, and here's what we need to consider before we vote on where we're going to move it to. The other one is, whoever's doing the inventory review, is you need to look at it in terms of if it needs to be repaired and any repairs that need to be done. And as you do the repair assessment or audit, that will guide how we move forward doing repair for certain things. For example, the totem pole in Victoria Park. That's basically the only piece of artwork in Victoria Park of note. There's some painted benches there. So I don't want to dismiss those, but the totem pole is there. It was donated by the city of Victoria. It's how Victoria Park got its name. Irrigation has destroyed this piece, and it will probably be more to repair it than the piece is valued at. So we have to make a decision, and we will make a recommendation to council on how they want us to proceed with this. Here's what it will cost to repair it. Do we need to relocate it, or do we just let it live there as it is? So that is, again, the installation issue. Do we move it? How is it installed? Is it drilled into the ground? Is it cemented into the ground? And then the assessment in terms of repair. Did you want to have any comments?
I'll just add that, I guess about 2 years ago, I was part of a subcommittee that was looking at the inventory and maintenance needs of the collection. And I'm not sure if we've done much to keep up on those needs since then. So along with sort of compiling the various inventories, I have some notes from 2021 about the maintenance needs of certain pieces. And there are probably a few that just need cleaning, but then there's also 1 or 2 that we should consider, decommissioning. So I think we just want to discuss how to move forward with that beyond sort of me getting a sense of what records we have and what's missing. How do we go forward with the assessment and doing any kind of research that might be needed?
And how we'll move forward with this, and I happened to be looking at one of the inventory lists and there were some tabs up there and I clicked on a tab and it came up with this whole other thing. And I was like, Jay, we have stuff in storage that no one has seen for 10, 15 years. I then went to the storage facility and there were two pieces there, two big substantial pieces of artwork and storage that need extensive repair. But they are beautiful pieces that are, one is valued at $80,000 for insurance reasons. So there's some interesting treasures out there. So what we will need is if anybody wants to assist Barrett with this assignment, whoever, if somebody does want to help him out, you can decide to make a recommendation if we want to hire somebody to do this, or if you want to do it on your own. In the past, the commission has hired somebody to do this work and gone through and reviewed everything. But that is a determination that you can then make to the commission overall. Okay. Is there anybody that would like to assist Barrett with that?
I'd love to. I'd love to assist you. It's something I've been interested in seeing what's in those archives, to see if we have any treasures we can.
Field trip to
put back.
storage.
Yeah.
It's in our
Exactly.
future.
So fun, thank you.
Yeah, I think that'd be awesome to be able to see what we do have in the storage, just, I mean, as a commission in full, just so we are familiar with what has been in the archives as well. But do we have a team of repair? Like, is there a team that does restore the artwork that we use here that we've used in the past?
We have somebody under contract, Signature Sculptures, who does our maintenance and minor repair.
Okay.
I sent them two of the major pieces that were in storage that need serious rehabilitation. Unlike many old things in Palm Springs, they need their face lifted and fixed. And they said that this is not their area of expertise. They need the artist's permission or another artist to do the work. They're technicians. So again, that's going to be an individual assessment every time, certain pieces of work of that. Now, I will say that one piece that's in storage used to be in front of the Desert Fashion Plaza. And it's a big metal sculpture with boulders glued on. And when I looked at it, I was like, wow, that looks like a jungle gym. I'd love to climb on that, but there's boulders up there. So we need to be careful where we put that because you don't want to put it in a park where kids will be up there and these boulders could fall on them. So we'll see. And I will say there's not a lot in storage. But there's more pieces that are around the city that may not be in our inventory, that we may not be aware are public art. That's where you're going to find the treasures. Okay.
And then just one quick question. As we're out looking at art, some are visibly damaged and we know, how would we know otherwise, like structurally from an engineering standpoint, if this is about to topple over? How will we know how much repair something needs just by looking at it if I don't have that background?
I would document it. And then we send it to Signature Sculpture, who is our contract repair person, and they can make an assessment. And so you document it and send it to Jay, and then he will pass it on.
So even if we're just curious about the structural viability of something, if it's still standing, we would just do that and just question it. And send
I
it
don't
over.
want you to get involved in that
Great.
for liability issues.
The only other thing I was thinking was if they were walking with people as they were reviewing these, if they're under contract, but
Yeah.
does that save a trip?
Is there anything you're thinking of that?
No, I'm
Okay.
throwing it there. Hypothetical.
Signature Sculpture is under contract for certain art pieces.
Yeah.
And so maybe 30 art pieces, they will systematically rotate throughout the city, clean and restore art pieces accordingly. These are typically the ones that are already out in public view.
Yeah.
We may need to amend their contract or some other process to have someone kind of do that assessment of the stability of art in its current form. I'm gonna check with Anita, see if she has any thoughts or ideas on that. She's been working on this also.
Yeah, I am looking into I'm vetting people who are art appraisers and do art maintenance for municipalities, for museums, and I'm trying to work with procurement about that, but we haven't settled down anything yet.
And my recommendation for signature sculptures, they can just deal with things now. And then what they did with the two pieces I found in storage is they gave us an estimate to deal with that. It would still then need to be approved, but it's sort of a Band-Aid.
Thank you.
We just don't want you to get damaged by any
I don't want anybody. to get
Maryland
damaged.
toppling over on you.
I wouldn't be offended.
Okay. Okay, so Barrett and Shonda can review that and then come to a meeting the next couple of sessions and make a recommendation on next steps, if we need to hire somebody, how we go about that. And as I said, it's really about totality. We need to know what pieces we have, the repair level, and how they're installed, so we can make decisions for future reciting purposes. Okay. Park Art Grant Program discussion. So there was a program started by the Public Arts Commission about 5 years ago called Art is Everywhere. And what they did is they gave community grants and neighborhood grants for $5,000, and neighborhoods could apply for them and they could do art in their community. And there was maybe 8 to 9 that were done. Some of them were small. There was a metal totem sculpture on Arenas Road that was part of this program. It's outside of Hunters. There have been some pieces that we ended up purchasing, or pieces that we gave more money to. The two successful initiatives through that in my perspective were the piece that we did in Demuth Park, where Demuth Park came to us and said, we want $5,000 to paint benches. We then said, that's a great idea, bring us your designs. They did designs, they then had the community vote on the designs. We went through, the community was so far behind it, they said, we want to do a big program. We want to create art in the park, and art in the park in the dark. And that all started with this sort of incubator $5,000 that we gave them for the benches. Another program that will be coming to us in the next meeting is something that Barrett was spearheading, and that was with Las Palmas, where we gave them $5,000 for a sculpture to go in a median within the area. They then raised the balance of the funds to get a local artist to do a big piece, a big sculpture piece in there. But again, it was like incubator. As I was discussing with some council members on some of our upcoming projects, they kept saying, we need stuff in the parks. We need stuff in the parks. Downtown is important. We understand that, but in the parks, in the parks. They kept saying that. Two parks that they mentioned repeatedly were Victoria Park and James O. Jesse Community Center. And so then I said, well, we can take our neighborhood grant of $5,000 and put it on steroids. And what we can do is we then can assign it to a park. The benefit to that is, I think nearly every time we've done a neighborhood grant of $5,000, we've had to give them more money. 5,000 just wasn't enough. And even if they stayed within $5,000, it did not have impact. You know, I guarantee you've all walked around Arenas Road and walked right by this $5,000 piece and you didn't notice it. Imagine how it would have been if they had $50,000 or $25,000. So what I suggested was we take this grant and create a park grant, make it very specific and make it very healthy oriented, make it family living oriented. And if we gave them $50,000, it could be one substantial piece, or it could be 10 pieces within the park that were each $5,000 worth. It doesn't need to be one piece. It could be a multitude of pieces if somebody wanted to as well. It could be a collective artist program where the artist is working with the community to help them create artwork. It does not need to be one intense sculpture. But if we give this $50,000 grant to specific parks, when I mentioned this, the first response from council was, I love the idea. I want it in every park, as opposed to 2. And Jay and I sort of looked at each other like, okay, we have manpower issues and we have financial issues, but we'll get through that. So I still would recommend we start off with 2 parks and then we roll off into multiple parks beyond that with the plan. Because even though we start with something right now, we're in September, By the time we finalize what the idea is, it'll be in October, November, it will get to council in the December, January. We're gonna be pushing to the next fiscal year already. So I don't think we should be focused on, do we have the money for it? Just what's the idea? Now, each park does not need to have the same idea, because each community and each park is completely different. You know, James O'Jesse has a very active community. Victoria Park may not. Demuth Park is very active as well. It's a weekend park. It is family centric. Baristo Park, not so much. You know, it's not much going on there on the weekends, daytime, after school. So we need to think of each park separately. It should not be a blanket park program. And so I'd like you all to think about this. Go up to James O'Jesse, walk around after school, walk around on the weekend, see how they use it. Same thing with Victoria. And then we'll eventually roll out to Sunrise, Baristo, Demuth. There's a hidden park off Vistachino. It's one that Mayor Pro Tem Bernstein, he's like, well, there's a hidden park up there, right? And I've never been there.
Gene Autry, it's more of a
Yeah.
pocket park.
Yeah.
It's little passive, long, linear.
Okay, that one. So, you know, I think one of the responsibilities of the commission is we need to go into the communities as well. You know, we can't just sort of sit here and come up with ideas. Go out, look at them, how they do it. I think one of the more successful things we've done recently was moving the John Clement sculptures to Demuth Park. All of a sudden, these pieces look big and bright and everybody's there. And when you're there on a Saturday, there's all these kids running around and playing with it and swinging from them. And that's how that artwork should be used, as opposed to sitting in front of a movie theater. So, as I said, this is discussion. I'd like to continue the discussion so we can go to council. I think you mentioned you had an artist that you.
Yeah, I've got actually an artist friend of mine pitched me an idea or concept a long time ago where she does these large 8 to 12 foot ceramic clay sculptures, but she enlists the community and the children basically to build a portion of the sculpture where then she takes it and attaches it to a larger piece, and then it becomes this massive community project. So and I haven't spoken to her in a while about it, but I'm sure I could convince her to get involved with something like that.
See, I think something that's great.
Yeah.
And I know I've talked about this in the past, but in Puerto Vallarta, downtown Puerto Vallarta, in the town center, they have this entire mosaic project, and everything is mosaic. And they enlist the community with that. And there's one sort of overarching design, but the community does it. And so every garbage can, every bench, every step, every wall is mosaic, and it looks amazing. Mosaics also do really well in dry, hot weather. You know, so in Victoria Park, they just have that long wall that faces west, right? I don't know if you know Victoria Park, that wall. It's just it's a rectangle and a long wall that faces that, and I was like, wow, that would be great for this amazing mosaic mural along there. You know, that's public art. So, as I said, I ask that you go to these parks different times of the day, see how the community uses it, and then come back with some ideas that we can then decide, okay, what's the way we want to go, knowing not every park is going to be used the same way. So Demuth Park may love your clay thing, maybe not for Victoria.
Right.
Are we also deciding on the amount, or is 50 grand the amount?
I just chose 50 because that's what we went with pillars, and to me 50 is a palatable amount.
I love 50, I'm
It's,
just making
you know,
sure that's what I
yeah.
have to work with.
No, I mentioned that to council, and you know, I think we need to go big on some of these things. I'd rather go big than a lot of small. But if we went 50 per park, and as I said, it was 5 pieces out of that 50, they may be 5 smaller pieces, but they will have presence and impact. And the 5,000 was like, you know. So that's just, I randomly pulled that because that's what we did for pillars. And I thought, well, we got some good stuff for pillars for 50. Let's do this.
Good deal, I like it, thank you.
Any other questions or comments on that?
is the key to get it to be interactive, or is that just a desire, you know, that you had mentioned?
A lot of our public art is what I would call a little precious. That you look at it and you think, oh, that's nice, and you don't engage. So it could be placement. As I said, the John Clement pieces, when I talked to other people about them, they're like, I don't even know where those pieces were. I said, exactly, they faded into the background. It became this white noise when you didn't even notice them. But then all of a sudden, when they're in Demuth Park, they're there, they're saying, come play with me. They became interactive and they're big and they're safe. So I'm not saying we need to do things that are punchable or just stuff that will engage people. You know, the totem pole in Victoria Park is not interactive. And this is a park that's really in a sense, an extension of the local school. It's right there with the school. And so the only thing they have is this rotting wooden totem pole. That's what I mean by interactive. Think families, the families in the areas use a park. So it shouldn't be precious art. It should be fun. It should be bright. And if it's interactive, like your friend doing the clay stuff, that's great. I think the more you engage the community, the more ownership they will have and protective of that art as well. Okay. Any other comments on that? No?
Oh, quick question.
Sure.
As for the neighborhood grants, that title.
Yeah.
This is gonna have the label of parks on it, and I'm wondering if neighborhoods are gonna wonder, like, is only parks, like the neighborhoods. So is that something that we need to look at as well, is bringing that to neighborhood associations to see?
I would recommend we do that, bring the neighborhood association into it. And the challenge we had with the neighborhood grant was some of the people that got them were one street within the neighborhood.
Oh,
You know, it wasn't an entire neighborhood really. And so the one that was successful for me was Demuth Park. And it was in the park, and they got the community around, they got the community association involved to get people to participate and vote on it. So to me, the parks are the hub of the neighborhoods, and there are multiple neighborhoods within each park, so. Okay. Any other questions on that? No, okay, project updates, airport mural, art relocation, Mr. Ramirez, any comments?
Yeah, so I was introduced to two artists from past Chair Pritchard, which I've engaged with. And I discovered another muralist who has a great mural on 111, which he actually just recently sent some designs over this week. And then there are two other artists who've actually just recently sent some items in. But I'd be open to sourcing, you know, any new murals. I can send those over to TJ, any new updates that I've received this week, to put on the agenda for October. But I was actually flying through the airport, saw the walls, actually a few days ago. I think it's going to be great to add more life as the airport is going through a big revamp. And I've also engaged with a couple, and I know we were in the meeting, I want to say a few months ago, with the airport commission. So, yeah, I think it'll be great to have more color and also more conversation in part, as a big part of the footprint, in Palm Springs as that whole airport is going to be, going through revamp. So, updates on that, I'd be open also to if there's any other muralists that you've come across, or sourcing anything that we can get on the agenda for next October.
Great. Yeah, Melissa.
I have to head out.
Okay. Pillars of Palm Springs update. This will get in front of council on Tuesday. I have spoken to all 6 of the artists. And the artists all sound really amazing. Just when you hear their story and hear how they got to the point. And so I think it's going to be great. There's a variety of artistic backgrounds, and they're all quite excited and they're very, very enthusiastic. And there's a very strong Palm Springs footprint of people that, you know, there's one gentleman that has lived here with his wife for 40 years. Lives in Desert Hot Springs. Somebody else said, I first came to Palm Springs to the White Party 30 years ago. You know, so there's this great what makes Palm Springs. So as I said, that will be next Tuesday, and hopefully everything goes well with that. Okay. Next is the Eco Art Park. Eco Art Statement. The Eco Art Park is the partnership with the other departments of the city is a little bit of a holding pattern. So I reached out to the city manager and I just said, we have the money for this. We want to proceed with this. Can we move forward? And so city manager is dealing with Jay and the other people in that department about getting approval from Riverside County. And we also need to get approval from the flood control department because it's flood control. So, okay. And so that's the latest on that. And then the last one is the Janso Jesse Unity Community Center Richard Wyatt mural restoration.
Yes.
Over to you, Commissioner Favo.
Thank you. We are getting hung up on the lawyer situation because we need the law logistics of how it needs to be stated for Mr. Wyatt to be able to overlook or oversee the artist that is chosen to restore his artwork. So it's a legality thing that I'm hoping that now that we have Anita, welcome, that we'll be able to get through the minutia of the semantics of how to get that mural up.
So let me just give some background for the other commissioners that may not know
Oh,
the background.
Thank you.
So the Richard Wyatt mural on the Janso Jesse Community Center has long been problematic. It's faded. They've retouched it. The community retouched it. Richard Wyatt is a known artist. He's very, very important. It was painted. Unfortunately, it was painted on the south side of the wall, so it faded nearly immediately. And there's been attempts to repair it back and forth. In June 2021, the Arts Commission voted to pay for an engineering report to find out if it could sustain tile work. Because the idea was maybe we do tile on this and transform the mural into a tile version of the mural. It came back a year later, 9 months later, that the building could sustain the tile work. And then getting an estimate, and Shonda's been diligent in dealing with Richard Wyatt, getting an estimate on this. And the estimate came in at $280,000 to do the mural on the side of this building. It's a big building. And then the contract went to Mr. Wyatt last December. And I believe there were hesitance on him signing it due to personal issues. And so the issue is, can we bring in other artists to do the restoration under his supervision? And so Jay spoke to the lawyer, and the lawyer said we can either bring in artists with his supervision where he approves them. We would need to amend the contract if he's not doing the work. And then the contract needs to be reapproved by the commission and reapproved by council. Or if he does not want to do that, we then can approve another artist to do restoration. That needs to be approved by commission again, and then by council again. So it's unfortunate. This is the way it is with the legal issues and dealing with City Hall, but this is a situation we're in of spending a lot of money to repair something that's very important to the community. That is a long process. And Shonda has been, as I said, very diligent in pushing this with her leadership. However, she's heading into City Hall. And there are issues and legal issues, specifically dealing with the contract and dealing with artwork, and if one artist is doing it over another artist.
And this is just the baton I picked up because there's been restorations done over time. And this mural has been wanting, the community has been wanting this mural to be redone for the last 10 years.
Yeah.
So it's extremely important to the community. There's a lot of historical Easter eggs in it, and they would very much, the neighborhood would very much like it to be restored. Now, this with the semantics of Richard Wyatt, if he is ill and is not able to supervise, that jargon needs to also be put in that he's given this artist his blessing to do it, and that this artist can, whatever artist is chosen, a couple of artists have been thrown into
Yeah.
the ring, and it'd be really nice to.
My understanding from the lawyer is either way we go is up to the commission. We still have to approve it, and I think then, that's when we would look at the art and see if these people have experience doing restoration. So we don't want to spend $300,000 and have it look different than the mural did originally. That's the issue. And this is a situation where, again, we are an advisory commission to city council. And we will review, we will make a recommendation, and ultimately it will be up to council to make that determination.
Can I ask a question just for my own benefit in going forward, not regardless of this situation? When the commissioner of the city hires an artist to paint something or to produce a work of art on a city building, who owns that? Who owns the rights to that artwork at that point? I'm just curious, just because of the situation that we're in right now. I understand the historical value of an artist and their work, and you don't want to mess with that. But at some point, going forward, we're going to be hiring artists, and do they retain those rights?
So we addressed this in the agreements with the artists. It's known as a VARA, Visual Arts something. And
Oh, that.
and there's another law that affects this, but it gets worked out in each agreement as to ownership and rights, and the ability to reproduce the artwork. And some artists want to be able to reproduce their artwork, and so we have to work with them to say, okay, well, here's what we have to do, the language, and that seems to be okay. If it's something that's acceptable, say, to the commission. So those are, for the most part, addressed in the agreement, negotiated terms, but I think to a large degree, they are, the artworks become property of the city.
Okay.
So it becomes a property of the Public Arts Commission.
Okay.
And
City.
our recent contracts, I'll state that it is our art. It is part of our permanent collection. I imagine if a contract was even done with this mural, when it was done 30 years ago, 40 years ago, I don't even know if there was a contract done at that point. And the public arts laws have changed since then.
Right. That's what I'm just wondering.
So,
Okay.
there may not have been an amended contract, but for us to proceed and the money we're putting into it, we will own this mural.
Right. Curious. Okay. Thank you.
Are there any other comments on, and I would encourage the people who have not seen the mural to go up and take a look at it, because we will be voting on it in the future. It's a beautiful mural, and it's sad what's happened to it, so. Okay. Jay, any report from this staff?
Mr. Chair, I would just clarify item I1, that the public hearing should not have been closed. It should have been continued
Okay,
to the meeting on October 18th.
thank you. Any other comments from? Great. Public Arts Commission will adjourn to a meeting on October 18th, 2023, 5:30 p.m. in the large conference room of Palm Springs City Hall, located at 3200 East Clockwest Canyon Way. Thank you all for attending.
Yeah.
Do we need a motion? Or do we need a
Can I-
motion?
I'll make
We
a
need a
motion.
motion? Yeah, make a motion. Sorry.
I'll make a motion to adjourn
Okay.
the Palm Springs Public Art Commission
Sorry.
until our next meeting on October 18th, 2023.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Sorry. Okay. I'm bad, but that's. I know.
Yeah.
That's what I'm here for.